I think about it. No, there you go. Good evening, good evening. And welcome to the scrumptiousness that is the Dark Mirror Radio Show with myself, Mark, aka the Alien Guy, the Taylor, who is stuffing her face with a Mr. Kipling apple pie of all bloody things. And then we have Mr. Wayne Seddon, he of the Pen is Mightier Than the Sword.
Oh, the book came. It was all in the book came.
Yeah. Lynn's was literally, she was there for hours. Just then you talk to her and she go, and then go straight back to the book again. So kept everybody quiet for ages. And yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So
it's good. I like that when people. I like that when people do that. Sit there, read it, and then put it down. That's the reason why my books. That's the reason why my books are so small, so you don't get the chance to put it down.
Well, it certainly worked. Like I say, Lynn's loves it. She hasn't put the book down. When she started reading it, about
yesterday.
Was it yesterday? No, it's today. Started reading it about 7 o'clock tonight. She's still reading it now. So there you go.
So which one?
You got anything else that you get up to? She's reading the first one.
Whistle from the Hills.
From the Hills.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite ones. I'm due to start writing my new one this weekend.
Plug away.
So it's going to be called Cricket.
Okay, that's a different title.
It is, but it's about a family that go away on holiday, and some very bizarre things happen while they're away, and as a result, it sort of scares them a little bit, and it's in relation to one of the children and the events.
God, there's too many jokes there. There's too many jokes there, and I'm just not going to go there. I'm not prepared to do that sort of joke because it's too far.
So yeah, it's just basically about the family and how they end up dealing with it all, and so yeah, it's going to have a lot of bit of spookiness in it. So
all right, cool. Well, we should look forward to that. And as soon as you get it sorted, carry on plugging away. Yes, Spring Hill Jack. In regards to him, as you know, I went to the HAPRC Centre last weekend.
Yep.
One of the mediums there, we had some very, very bizarre things coming through, and it was associated with two of the items that were there. One of them was because I went there with Phoenix Paranormal because we had team training and everything.
Yeah.
And then Paul got the Ouija board out, and it was somebody came through, and it was saying he asked, so you know, after long farting about, are you attached to anything here? Yes. And it long story short, it said a fob watch, and I knew where the fob watches were, and I went and got the fob watches, came out, and it said its name, and we said which one, and it said which fob watch it was attached to, and then buggered me, turned it over, had the damn initials on the back, which was interesting. And there's a doctor's bag as well, which was to do with a doctor who was from the East End, and although he came from gentry, he used to help the lower class. But these two people were around about the same time, and one of them was talking about Spring Hill Jack, and one of them was saying, it was the doctor, I think. Yeah, it was the doctor that was saying.
I wasn't there.
No, she wasn't there. That Spring Hill Jack, the person who did it, I just saw a cat's ass. There's another one.
It's the same one.
Yeah, the person who started off Spring Hill Jack apparently had been released from an insane asylum, and he was rich, he was gentry, and he did like to play tricks.
Yeah.
And they said, and he also said that this person was never found, but that other people carried it on for quite a while down through the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did say last week, didn't we, that it was a lot of the people sort of pointed the finger at this rather extrovert
Marquis, wasn't he?
Yeah, Marquis of somewhere. Trying to think where it was now.
Marquis of Waterford. That was it.
Yeah. He was a bit of an extrovert and a bit of a weirdo and a practical joker. So, you know, that sort of ties in, doesn't it?
Well, another interesting thing that came through, and I wasn't asking questions where you would know, unless you were from that time period, you wouldn't know what the hell I was talking about. But it also came through that this person was, according to whatever that was that came through on the board, was the person who did the Devil's Footprints before, and he did this before they went for a stay in an asylum, and it was that gave him the idea to do Spring-Heeled Jack. Now, whether that was complete and utter bollocks or not, I don't know, but I just thought it was fascinating that it had come through. And it was, hi, Helen. Oh, I just thought it was fascinating that all that came through, and it tied up very neatly, actually. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you look at these things, you always sort of, you turn one page on one thing, and then all of a sudden something else will come up, and you'll go, hang on a minute, that does tie in. You know, so I mean, the last reports, they were all saying it. You know, they sort of brought him out as the Peckham ghost.
That's right. Yeah.
It sort of, it morphs into something else.
Well, like I mean, like I say,
Look how small you look with the horizontal stripes. Like it's like this.
like I said.
Look, can you see it?
What, with my massive melon head
like this.
on my tiny body?
Yeah.
Bloody, it is, isn't it? Put the stripes on. I look tiny. Get out of it, your hair bags. Go on.
Both.
Just talking to this, whatever this entity was, and then I went and it was me that went and found the watches, because I remember I'd seen some. And I went, all right, I'll go and get them. And I had two of the watches, and it chose the one that was associated on, and I didn't know there's any initials on the back. And when I turned it over, there was, like I said, there was the initials on the back of the watch, and it was a proper pocket watch, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a doctor. Hang on, because I put some notes on it down there. He didn't like talking too much about himself, but from what we could work out, he was a doctor called Graham Douglas. And he was around from was it 1803 to 1892. So, and he like I say, he said about this person originally did the Devil's Footprints as a complete prank. And then that idea got him onto the back thing, but he couldn't do anything about it because he got put in an asylum for a couple of years. That's why it went dead. And then when he came out, and yes, he did have money, but he didn't say who it was, just that he did have money and he did have connections, and that was how he got the Spring-Heeled Jack and all the contraptions underneath the cape and everything. I just thought, even if it was nonsense, it was tied in very, very neatly, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, to sort of point the finger at someone that was a bit of a practical joker, and that ties in, like I said, it ties with the Marquis of Waterford. Because that was the people that were.
Well, the people that were doing the Ouija board hadn't listened to our show, and I hadn't gone on. I hadn't said anything about it until all this came out, and I was like, "Oh my god!" You know. So it was quite interesting. But yes. So anyway, the Victorians, apart from them being a very sexually repressed and weird bunch, pretty much every person of money, the dad had a bit on the side. The wife knew about it, didn't give a monkeys. And yes, very sexually repressed and very perverted. It's quite interesting what you learn about the wives. Get his face out of that. It's quite interesting what you learn about the Victorians, and when you read it, you're like, ooh, wow.
Did they make it? Did they make exceedingly good cakes?
Apparently, well, according to the dogs, yes. He's had far too many.
Or in that case, were they apple pies, weren't they?
They definitely were. There's two. I've moved them out of the way, and one of them's standing on my metal leg, and he's just like, "Oh, look! But right, no.
I have got shorts on.
You take that, put them out of their reach. Because otherwise I'm going to be...
In my belly.
No, because he's been farting all night, and I don't particularly wish to be trying to do this and have the smell of pug emanations wafting up my nostrils. So,
Oh no, that's not. There's nothing worse than that.
ugh,
But
vile.
it's not his ass.
You take after your dad, so...
I've got I've got 3 cat litter trays by the side of me, so if one of them decides to use one of them, I'm going to be in trouble.
Oh, the cheesy cat part, yes. Nice. What do you want to kick the Victorian bit off with tonight, then?
Well, I have been looking through our notes, and I noticed that there was a thing there where the actual Society for Psychical Research was found in 1882, and one of their key things that they were looking at was crisis apparitions or apparitional experiences.
That's right.
In general. It was some guys, Edmund Gurney, Frederick W.H. Myers, and Frank Podmore were responsible for starting the society. And it was literally most of their early work was to provide evidence for human survival after death, which also included the supposed, they put it down to hallucinatory experiences where people were confronted with either a full apparition or a similar sort of manifestation.
Yeah.
And they labelled them crisis cases. Obviously, we still know them as crisis apparitions or crisis cases. That the terminology hasn't really changed over the years. And then in parapsychology, the presumption's made that some as yet unknown form of communication, such as telepathy, has also taken place.
Well, they had a massive surge during World War One, didn't they?
World War One was a very it was a very confusing time for the general public, where you had a lot of mediums were claiming that they were able to talk to loved ones that had died during battle. So a lot of the psychic mediums were standing there, and they were charging people, and they would go around to their houses and set up Ouija boards and crystal balls and seances in a bid to try and make money off of the deceased, basically.
Yeah, I didn't mean to yawn at you then. I'm really sorry it just came out. I'm sorry.
Gary.
So I mean, you know, but I always was led to believe that a crisis apparition was when an experience that someone has, which is like a premonition, it's a warning of something that's going to happen. And there was a case in Victorian London, I can't remember the date now, I think it was the late 1800s. A guy was heading towards Tower Bridge, and he was feeling uneasy. After the experience itself, he'd actually noted it down and mentioned it to a few people, that as he was walking towards Tower Bridge, he was feeling uneasy, something wasn't right, and so he turned around and went back. It wasn't until the following morning that in that exact location, well, sorry, I missed a bit out. The feeling he was getting was that he was going to get attacked by a tiger, and wasn't happy about it, and it got worse. The feeling got worse, and in the end, he opted out, and he turned around and he went back to where he'd come from. And it wasn't until the following morning when he got to work that he'd heard that a Bengal tiger had escaped on the bridge that very moment, the day before, and actually brutally attacked a young lad.
Bloody hell.
And the bloke's like looking at the rough times of when it happened, and he basically, it scared him that much, because the apparition that he had received or had seen, and the feeling that he got was that if he'd have carried on walking, it would have been him that had got caught by the tiger and not the little boy.
stuff
That's
like
the
that.
same as the woman that was stabbed in London near Sheldon's house.
Hang on. The ones, because I did a show on them about two years ago, I think, with Kerry and Carl. And the one that's always stuck in my mind was there was a young army officer who he'd been very, very badly wounded in I think it was the Somme. Thought he was going to die, and I think he appeared to his sister at home in uniform, and she saw him in the back garden and even spoke to him. She saw him out there, went over and spoke to him, and he turned around and said, "I don't know," and he tried to say to her, "I don't know if I'm going to make it home," etc., etc., etc. And it was the first, I think it was the first recorded one of this particular type of crisis apparition. And he made it. He did make it. And he came through. It took a long time for him to get healed and back together. But he came through and he said to him, it was like a dream. He was in a hospital being patched up and this, that, and the other. And he said it was like a weird dream. He remembers talking to his sister and everything. And hang on, my daughter's trying to ring me. Right. Yeah, and he remembers trying to talk to her and everything, and he said he thought he was dreaming. She's like, "No, you appeared to me and said, I don't know if I'm going to make it home, but please, tell mum and dad and everybody I love you." So yeah, it was very interesting. Get off the bloody phone!
And the thing is as well is that obviously this is why they're called crisis apparitions, because at a time of crisis they're appearing. I read up of a case a couple of days ago, and I'd known about it before, but I wanted to look a little bit more into it. And when I actually looked into this, whatever it was that had happened, it was a lady was at home and there was a knock on the door.
Yeah.
She answered the door and there was an old lady standing there, and basically,
I just said hello.
Hello.
She's going, what the hell?
Hey.
Hello.
And basically, this lady had said, "Can you go next door?" I can't remember what her name was, Ida or something, had fallen down the stairs, and she's hurt herself badly. So this lady has shut her door. She's run next door. She's knocked on the front door, no answer. This other lady has just vanished. She's run round the back. She's gone in through the back door, and she's found this Ida at the bottom of the stairs and with a broken hip.
Oh shit!
So she calls for the ambulance. The ambulance turns up, takes her to hospital, gets her all sorted out, and then I think it must have been about a couple of months later, this lady is back at home again, and the next door neighbour's gone round there and was talking to her, and she said to her, "How did you know I'd fallen down the stairs?" And she said, "Because this lady had came round and knocked on my door." And she said, "What lady? I haven't had no visitors in a few weeks. So who was it that came round?" And she's just basically described this woman, and this old lady just went quiet. And she said, "Why? What's the problem?" And she turned around and she's got a picture out of her purse and showed it to her and said, "Is this the woman that you saw?" And she said, "Yes." She goes, "Can't be." She went, "Why?" She said, "'Cause she's been dead for 15 years. That was her sister.
Is this a crisis apparition? Is that what we're calling it?
Anything where you get.
So basically, when I was at Sheldon's house, he was going to the shops like after work or lunchtime at work every day, and I kept telling him when I was on the phone, I was like, "All right, be careful," because it's London. I just kept saying, "All right, be careful. Just make sure you're careful." Because it's only up the road, and he was like, "Oh no, this part of London's fine," right? The day after, I said to him, "Be careful." A woman, one street over, was stabbed to death while she was walking to the shops. Is that a crisis?
It's a full warning.
Yeah, it's a warning. I mean, it's the likes, like we've been saying the last couple of weeks, the likes of the Mothman would have been classed as a crisis apparition, because he came bearing a warning to people, saying this is coming, and whether you take heed of the warning or not is down to you. But a lot of people don't realise until it's usually too late, because they sort of tend to poo-poo the idea. Yeah, I mean, the amount of people that have probably during the Point Pleasant incident with the Mothman, you know, a lot of people may have had the warnings from the Mothman and chose to ignore them because they didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a typical case scenario where you're overworked, you've got a lack of sleep, and your mind starts playing tricks on you, and you see one thing is in front of you, but your mind sees something else.
Yeah.
You know, a typical case of pareidolia, you make something out of a cloud and you go, oh, that looks like such a... So it could be that this person could have been overtired, overworked, he's exhausted, suffering from fatigue, and all of a sudden something's popped up in front of him and it's gone blah, 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 and he's gone, oh, right, yeah, whatever. Just chose to ignore it. And he's blamed it on the fatigue.
I think we're all guilty of that sometimes as well. You can hear a nipper in the background. I've got a question for you. Now, down throughout the ages, and I mean down throughout hundreds of years, there's always been monsters under the bed. Don't go down to a certain part of the area, otherwise this thing will get you, blah, blah, blah. In every culture, in every country, all the way down through the ages. Now, these things seem to be about for quite a bit, and then they vanish. And then a couple of 100 years later, you'll have a new one start, but it does the same things as the old things.
Yeah.
Do you think some of these things are capable of, I don't know, if they are real, capable of self-hibernation and then just come back and reinvent themselves?
No, I think they are just random. I think somewhere along the line, you know, the myths of like the monster under the bed or the monster in the cupboard, it's just something people just devise up, you know, to sort of try and keep their children in order. You know, if you turn, you know, you've got an unruly child, you turn around to them and say, well, you've got to behave, otherwise the monster under the bed will come out. Or watch the cupboard door don't open because the monster could be coming out because you've been naughty. And it'd be in the same principle as telling a child, if you're bad throughout the year, Father Christmas will only come with a lump of coal.
Well,
but no one ever mentions his brother. You see, Father Christmas's brother disappears, and no one knows much about his brother.
Who's his brother?
And yet his brother was Krampus.
Krampus, yeah.
Helen's just asked
Krampus did exist, and he was the demonic. Sorry.
Sorry, your internet keeps cutting out, mate. Helen's just said in the chat room there, what would gut instinct? Hang on. There you are. What would gut instinct feeling something wrong be classed as? That's a kind of premonition, isn't it? Because I always
feeling would be, yeah. Yeah, I got it.
I found that when I was younger, I didn't listen to my gut instinct. Things would always bugger up. But if I listened to it as I got older, because I do now all the time, and it's always right for some bloody reason.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't have gut instinct. You know, a
dog
lot of
has
people
definitely got gut wind. I tell you, Jesus, his ass is there.
Life without actually getting gut instinct, and they'll just follow the road no matter what comes along.
Yeah,
you know, they won't go, well, I think, you know, and it's based on options. You know, you go on that line.
You're frozen. I don't know if you can hear us, but you look like you're praying. You're there going, oh, like that.
Should we kick him and then pull him back again?
No, you should be right. Are you okay? No. I'll tell you what, mate. If you can hear us, cut yourself off, then jump back in again. Or turn your internet off and come back in again. Anyway, whilst that's going on, what did you want to say?
What was I going to say?
I don't know. Were you going to say anything? No?
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Hello, Helen. Hello, Gary. I think that's the only people that are left here.
No,
yeah.
Whoever's watching.
Oh,
Is he? No. Is he there? Is he gone?
Oh.
Hang on. There you are. I was just about to,
yeah.
what was I going to say? You were talking about something, and a really good point to completely forgotten.
Gut feeling.
Yes.
And the fact and the fact that we, you know, it's like life choices. We go down that road and we get a choice of which one to go down. Cursed internet. So I mean, and of course with gut instinct, I mean, I get it when I go into a haunted location. I get a rough idea whether something's there or not. And that would be based on a gut instinct. If you can feel it there, yes, it's part of clairvoyancy or being psychic or whatever, but you can walk into a place and feel that something's not right, and you would then automatically and distinctively know whether you should proceed any further or not.
See if this rings true with you. Like Becky and Taylor are both clairvoyant, and they can hear, sense, and talk to. But you're stronger than Becky, or is Becky stronger? I can't remember. You're stronger than Becky. I can't. I can't see or hear them or anything, but I always know like that. I always know when there's something in that area, and I put it down to the closest analogy is, you know, when you get two magnets and they go like that, and you put them together and they go ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
it's like that. If you go into something that's on a different vibration wavelength to us, it makes everything out of kilter. It's like the two magnets going nope, 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 nope. That's the only the easiest way I can say it is with me.
Well, I mean, it's how you would look at it. A lot of people, you know, a lot of people in the paranormal field all have roughly the right idea that a spirit is energy.
Yeah.
And we all go around with EMF meters, which obviously checks the electromagnetic field in that immediate area. So if it could be the fact that the sensitives, when they walk into a location, their energy is mingling with the spirit energy. And as a result of that, you can feel the friction between the two. It's like the north and south pole of a magnet.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah, they either stick together or they repel apart.
Yeah.
Either way, if you're well sort of genned up on what you're doing, you would know which one of the two was doing what. So whether it was attracting to you or pulling away.
Mine's always away.
Yours is always pushing away.
Always pushing away.
See, I've always, whenever I go into anywhere, if I feel something and we're doing you can talk to us, we're not here to hurt you, etc., 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 I do always turn around and say, you don't have permission to use my energy. I always say it straight away, purely because
I'm quite happy for him. I'm quite happy for him too.
I've had it before, but it's got too far, and I've felt like utter poop and this, that, and the other. So I always say, you can borrow it for a little bit, you know, with the others. You can borrow theirs, you're not touching mine.
We've had that with Ellen over at Harrods Redoubt Fort in Essex.
Oh, I like that place.
We've gone into the Napoleonic bunk room. The first time we went there, we ended up pulling out 6 members of the group. Had to all be taken out of the room altogether because they all started to feel cold. Then they all started to feel nauseous, and in the end, we're like, we've got to get you out of the area. And then I think it must have been about 4 or 5 months later, we went back again, and the same thing happened again with Ellen and 4 other guests. They all started to feel ill, but this time round, they were feeling quite hot rather than cold.
Yeah.
So still ended up with the same result. We had to pull them out, and I think it's that how it's controlled. I mean, I'll walk into a place and I'll go, there's something in here, and it doesn't bother me whether it's good or bad. But in their case, it was using their energy to do something, and that's why they were feeling ill.
Hey, Randy. I tell you what I find is when it's negative, I get a weird headache that I only ever get with this stuff. I don't get it anywhere else, and it's a weird headache that sort of goes, yeah, like that.
I wonder.
It's different to any other.
I wonder how many people actually do suffer from headaches when they go to locations, because I get it. I've got a spirit that is actually stuck to me. And every time she's about, I always get a headache at the back of my head. It's literally right at the top of my neck, where my neck joins into the skull.
When you get it, isn't it? You know it's that headache, and you don't get it with anything else. And soon you feel it, you're like, yeah.
Whenever in the past I've ever had normal headaches or migraines, it's always been across the front of my head.
Yeah.
When my spirit's about, it's always at the back, and she will always do something to let us know she's around. Which itself, it's pretty weird. But it only happens once a month, if that.
Are you having a man period? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's not one of those. But it's really weird, and the story behind how that has come about, it's one of my ghost stories on its own, to be honest. It is really, really strange how it's all come about. And every time I've moved, the spirits move with me, so I know it's attached to me.
I'll tell you what. How about next week we do a show just all about our own experiences and what have you?
Sounds like a good idea.
You've got loads. I'm one of the. I walk into the room and go, "Ooh, there's something there," and then I'll get my gadgets out and then go, "Oh, it's there," you know. But I get so, because the thing that upsets me quite a lot is when I do go to things, is sometimes my dad will come through, and he don't come through to me. He don't come through to anybody who knows me. I'll be in another group, and then somebody at the end of the night will say, "Oh, do you know somebody called Don?" You know. And I'm like, yeah, it's my dad. And they'll be like, oh, we came through. And that happened on Saturday. And it came through to Linda's group. And he's never come through and spoken to Linda or anything before. Because I was leading another group, you know. And at the end of the evening, it's like, oh, your dad tried to cut through to you. He really wants to talk to you. He just wants to say a couple of things. But when we tried to get him at the end of the night, because he'd been speaking so many people, and he'd also appeared to Becky, wasn't it? Appeared to my daughter at the same time. He stretched himself, so we just couldn't get him. And it was like, I get so upset when people go, your dad's been here. I'm like, bastard never said a bloody word to me, did he? You know? No, I'm on about on not here. But yeah, that headache thing, I find it really weird, because there's two types of headaches I get. One's with the paranormal, and you know what it is straight away, and the other one is if there's an electrical storm going to happen within a couple of hours. It's another very specific type of headache. It's only those two. If I get them, I know what it is. Others, it's normally because either smack me around the back of the head and hit me reset button, or it's these guys.
I mean, we get that over here. You know, obviously, you get the old wives' tales of when the sky goes green, there's a thunderstorm coming, and when the cows are laying down, it's going to rain and all that. But both me and Ellen, we get headaches when a thunderstorm's due to come in. And as soon as we get the headache, we start looking out the window to see what colour the clouds are, or what colour the sky is, because there is some truth in that saying.
No, there is.
We just look at that and confirm it by looking out the window. You know, you think, oh, the air feels muggy, something's coming, and that, you know, and then you go, oh, look, sky's going green.
Do you get the same feeling I get this really weird, like, I call it the Halloween feeling. On Halloween, do you get the Halloween feeling? Like when it's Halloween, it's like the air goes thick.
I get the Halloween feeling more than people get the Christmas feeling.
Is that why you love Halloween?
I love Halloween. Oh my God.
Halloween's my favourite time of year.
Thank you. Same.
See, I love Christmas. Love Christmas.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I love Christmas as well, but that's only because I like to get fat. But Halloween, I love scaring everybody. So, in our previous house, we used to, me and the neighbours over the road, we used to just dress up and go around the street. And then we took it one step further, and we actually decorated our living room like you would at Christmas. Only it was Halloween themed. So We got fog machines in there, spooky lights. We'd got cobwebs hanging from the ceilings. I made a mutilated Barbie chandelier for the living room.
Nice.
Then the year after that, and I'll send you some photos of it. It was hilarious. The following year, we actually did the dining room as well. And we had the table set up with a Ouija board in the middle, some spooky candles, 2 skeletons either end doing the Ouija board, and me sitting in the middle. And I was all dressed up as well. And I'd sit there and I wouldn't move. And we'd invite people in to look around the haunted house.
Yeah.
And they would come into the dining room and go, "Oh, wow, that's amazing." And all of a sudden I'd move and go, "Thank you," and scare the living daylights out of them.
I can remember.
But then we moved, so we stopped doing it.
I remember once when these guys were little, and my stepdaughter, who's 27 now, I think, isn't she?
Oh, she's old.
Something
Sorry
like
for
that.
watching this. You're old.
She was in her friend's place, and I'm still friends with these people now. And they made a den in the shed, and yeah, you remember. And I got loads of fishing line, and they had an extension on the house, and then there was like a 15-foot gap as a chicken coop, and then there was this shed that they made the den in. And I got all this fishing line and bits of chain and all this. I'm done all cobwebs in their den and the same thing, you know. But I got all this fishing line and hooked it up, and I had it coming back through into the conservatory, and I knew what each bit did, you know. And we had a video camera set up and everything, didn't we? And these guys had gone in there, and we waited about half an hour, and then I go dink and move, and you just said, "Ah!"
No, but the thing is,
all of them,
right? We got to light her, and she burnt the fishing wire. What we thought was all of the fishing wire, and they kept moving. And we were like,
and in the end, they all come running back in the house like, "Ah!" Brilliant.
That's part of the fun of it, isn't it? And we sort of did a similar setup when we first moved here. The first year we set up, we brought the table out the front onto the driveway. And we'd set it up the same as we had at the old house. We put all the Ouija board in the middle with the 2 skeletons. And I just sat there behind the table, and I did not, as soon as someone was coming along, I didn't move. I just sat there behind the table and then let the kids get halfway up the footpath to the door. And you'd hear them go, "Oh, that looks well cool." And I'd have the fog machine was blowing fog down the road and all sorts. And they go, "Oh, that's really cool, that is." And I'd go, "Thank you," and get up from behind the table. Next, you see, kids were running off down the road, and I've actually scared one child that much she won't come back to this house.
Aww.
I thought you were going to say they soiled themselves.
I thought you were going to say they pissed themselves.
But I am happy for that, because it just so happened to be, and we didn't realise this until after it had happened, it just so happened that child had been bullying my son at school.
Oh,
there you go. Awesomeness.
You get a blurred out middle finger.
So I scared the living daylights out of her, and as a result, she won't come back to this house again. And I thought, great, lovely.
So when this is just to get back to and finish this one off. So when you know there's a storm coming, I get the headaches when it's an electrical storm. You guys get weird headaches when it's an electrical storm, and then you look out the window and see if you can see your in-laws.
Yeah. Or my ex-in-laws, as the case may be.
Yeah, my fucking ex and in-laws.
Andy says he gets busy at some places and also high mark.
Yeah, no, Andy goes to quite a few investigations, and he's not. I think he's a sensitive, because he's spoken to me a few times about stuff. Because he hasn't spoken to anybody, but I know he can feel stuff, and he feels weird in certain places, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, dude, come and speak to us, Andy. Come and chat with me.
I think usually when people get that feeling, when there's you've got that feeling about you, I think that is because it's part of being sensitive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it down to anything else, simply because you go to a place and you get a bad feeling. So it's the fight or flight response.
Yeah.
You'll either walk away from it before anything bad happens, or you'll stay there to see if anything does happen. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get your head chopped off or something extreme like that, but it could be something that sort of makes you think, whoa, that's a bit extreme.
I normally feel like that when I have my ex around me. I get the fight or flight syndrome where I just want to get the fuck out of there, So
I get that every morning when she picks up the kids to go to school. The fight, situation. But yeah.
Right, but what are you doing?
Too hot.
You're too hot. You've gone red and you're back. Oh, for those who haven't seen Bump lately, hang on. Go on in.
Look at this.
Do sideways. You have to do sideways if you can move. Look at the size of this belly.
How far along are you?
27 weeks.
Yeah. Christmas Eve it's due. He's due.
My Freddie was due Christmas Day.
Aww.
When did... Hiya, Wayne. You all right, mate?
Sorry, I thought I better throw that bit in.
Yeah, I'll get back to that in a minute. Yeah, sometime before Christmas, I'd love to pop down and see you guys if that's all right. If you can put up with us.
Yeah.
Although
It's all right. We'd already offloaded Athan for next week.
Yeah, I know. But unfortunately, I had to pay for a new front fence, and I got to pay for a new back fence as well.
Oh, dear.
But
That's
it will have to be the beginning of December because I have to go in for a C-section, and they might do it 2 weeks early. So it'll have to be the beginning of December.
This isn't going to tell you.
No, I'm saying, unless you want to be here and see your grandson, you're going to have to decide.
Well, I thought it'd be nice one day come down on a Friday and we can do a show from your place.
Yeah, no problem.
If you guys are all right with that.
From me here and you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really want to travel too far. To be honest, I'm going to be 30.
Well, I don't particularly want you to be around their house and all of a sudden gush.
Yeah.
You know.
You'll be fine. You'll be safe.
Yeah. We got the maternity hospital just up the road.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Jobs are good.
They are amazing people.
All right, cool. Thank you. Well, if you can put up with us for a weekend, we'll come down.
Yeah.
Sort something. And same with you guys. You guys have got to come up here at some point.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting my diary's very quickly filling up.
Yeah, I'm not bloody surprised actually, but we'll sort something out. Anyway, back to the Victorian stuff. Some of the stuff that I added on there was
bye, Mrs. Wayne.
was the stuff that the monsters that Victorians actually believed in. Did you see that?
I did quickly sort of go through that section of it, but in a sense, I found it quite bizarre because a lot of those theories behind the monsters sort of seem to have still sort of carried on.
Yeah, haven't they? And the number one, that was the thing they believed in the most, which I just found bizarre. Was the Wandering Jew. For those who don't,
a Wandering Jew.
A Wandering Jew, like
I've got two in my room.
I can hear them out there going, "Hey, they," and hitting themselves with Bibles.
No, it's a plant. It's a plant called the Wandering Jew.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, number one. I mean, if you want to talk about it, tell everybody about it, then go ahead, because I'm sure you've got a lot more information up on your page than I've got here.
Well, no, I mean it's there was a basic top 10 list of Victorian monsters. However, some of them I think go back a lot further than Victorian times. It just seems that the Victorians have sort of glamorized it a lot more.
Well, they got the art of the Gothic horror down to a T, and they brought out a lot of the stuff from.
I'm so sorry for my yawning.
From back along, and they brought out all the stories from hundreds of years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean it's the likes of gargoyles. You know, gargoyles have been around a lot longer than the Victorians have. And basically they were only supposed to be there originally to divert water away from the roofs of the buildings.
That's right.
From the walls. So and it wasn't until Victorian times that it became folklore. And they believe that obviously the gargoyles came to life at night time and would go around scaring people and doing all sorts of ill doings to people.
Do you know where some of the first stories about the gargoyles actually came from?
I was always led to believe it was places like Romania through to France.
I was going to say Notre Dame. Notre Dame, when they had their gargoyles put on there, so many of the local French would say that on a stormy night you see these things chittering about and attacking people and stuff, and it's like, well, I wonder what they've been drinking that night. But, you know,
again, that's what turns how can I
story into a legend.
Yeah, that's where you get a story turn into a legend. I mean, if you're standing there staring up at a gargoyle on a cathedral on a wet, thundery night or a wet, windy night, you've got a lot of rain coming down, which is going to alter your perception of that gargoyle.
Exactly.
And that gargoyle could appear to be moving because of the rain. So, of course, they've gone, oh, that gargoyle's moving, it's an evil spirit, blah, blah, blah. Well, in them days, if you said something like that, 9 times out of 10 people would believe you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because who would disbelieve something they've seen on a church?
No, exactly. Sorry, I've just excuse me frantically waving my arms. Her pug, the other pug, the bigger one. I swear, oh my good
I think you need some Airwick.
I think he's got an evil spirit up there.
But I mean, the other one I found quite interesting was Herne the Hunter.
Well, Herne the Hunter's been going from before Christianity.
Yeah. However, again, the Victorians seem to sort of glamorise Herne the Hunter a little bit. And it's the English county of Berkshire. There's a place called Windsor Park. It's been associated with a spirit named Herne the Hunter. On cold nights, he appears at the base of Herne's Oak, which is a tree that he was hanged. When I saw this,
all things,
hanged to death.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, you wouldn't be hanged for a pickled egg, would you?
No.
You're hanged to death.
I sentence you to be hanged to death. Oh.
But I suppose that's why they'd word it. But apparently he's seen riding through the shadowy woodland with his horse and owl, doing the only thing he can, and that's hunt. So again, like you said about parents saying if you don't behave, you know, the monster under the bed will come and get you. Local townsfolk warn their kids that if they got close enough to Herne to see the antlers on his head, he will kill you.
Well, also, somebody get a priest in to bloody well sort this dog's ass out. There's also wasn't the legend? I can't remember if it came from Herne the Hunter or somewhere like Romania and that. But the legend of the Wild Hunt, didn't that have something to do with Herne the Hunter? I'm sure it did.
Mm-hmm. Most of the depictions of Robin Hood and things like that, Herne the Hunter does appear
in the Wild Hunt.
Yeah, and so I mean, and that's Nottinghamshire. So, you know, it's something it's quite widespread, but has, like we said, it's gone from just being like a story and has turned into a myth or a legend. But like you say, this business with the Wandering Jew, they don't really go into it too much because he's actually a biblical character. He's a legendary figure, and the story spread in Europe throughout the 13th century, but well into the Victorian times. And he was a man who taunted Jesus on his way to and during his crucifixion. And as a result of that, his penalty for that was he was cursed to walk the earth until the second coming of Christ. Yeah. So people say that he's been seen wandering aimlessly while being plagued by visions of a crucifixion. And so as a result of that, that's created this myth again. But it didn't stop at the Victorian era. the Nazis used him during World War II as well.
Did they?
Yeah. The Nazis used him for propaganda.
Oh, okay. That's
Propaganda poster.
Oh, of course, anti-Semitic. Yes.
Yeah.
What were you-
So the likes of Goering and all that lot, they would use that as an anti-Semitic poster to try and sort of persuade more Germans to come into the fray. It's going here literally. I mean, although he's a biblical character, there's been so many different things where he's popped up. The early extant manuscript containing the legend is the Flor Historic. Crumbs. I'll say that when I'm drunk. Historiarium or Historiarum by Roger of Wendover, where it appears in part of the year 1228 under the title of the Jew Joseph, who is still alive, awaiting the last coming of Christ.
He's gone through a fair few pair of nights.
Yeah. And then he goes on saying where German or Russian has spoken, the emphasis has been on the perpetual character of his punishment, and thus he is known as the Ewiger Jude or Juda, and Vechny Zid, the eternal Jew. So a lot of them are saying that he was a cobbler.
Yeah. Okay. He'd have to be if he's going to be wandering the earth all that time.
Yep. But the origins of...
Go on, speak up, quick!
So I have a plant. Their breed of plants is called Wandering Jew, and it grows forever. It's an evergreen, and if you plant it on soil, like outside in your garden, it will forever root and like keep moving across. So I think it's named after him because they won't stop like walking across the ground unless you kill them.
But try not to kill it.
I kind of almost killed mine outside.
Well, I mean, they got here. The origins of the legend are uncertain, but perhaps one element is the story of Genesis of Cain, who is issued with a similar punishment to wander over the earth, scavenging and never reaping, although without the related punishment of endlessness.
Is that Phil Collins' brother?
Yeah. According to Jehoshua, get it right, Gilboa, many commentators have pointed to Hosea 9:17 as a statement of the notion of the eternal or wandering Jew. According to some sources, the legend stems from Jesus' word given in Matthew 16:28. And then if I fast forward to, because it goes through medieval legend into 17th and 18th century, into 19th century Britain, we had a ballad with the title The Wandering Jew.
Oh, okay. Well, Cain, he was the first murderer, wasn't he?
Yes.
And he got down to walk the earth, and the only he'd have the hunger for food, couldn't eat, but he was also given I think it was a hungering for human flesh of some description. I don't think it was any bit. It was a certain type, like fingers or something like that. But yeah, he was the first. He did the first ever original sin.
I mean, it's a bit of a weird one, to be honest, because the Wandering Jew is quite well known throughout the world. Basically, we've got reference, obviously, Britain, North America, Germany, Denmark, France, Russia. And it's going right up to now in both Gustav Mehring's The Green Face and Leo Perutz's The Marquis of Bolivar. The Wandering Jew features as a central character. The German writer Stefan Heym, in his novel Ad Ahasver, blimey, which also translated into English means the Wandering Jew, maps the story of Ahasuerus and Lucifer raging between ancient times, the Germany of Luther and socialist East Germany. In Heim's depiction, the Wandering Jew is a highly sympathetic character. But then obviously Adolf Hitler and that got their hands on it. And
and they would turn it into very nice. Well, I mean, Hitler, his SS, he had a part of the SS, wasn't it? That was devoted to the occult and the paranormal, and trying to find all these alleged artifacts that would, like the Spear of Christ and all that stuff.
Yeah. I think what's more shocking is during 1937 and 38, so it's just literally as the war is about to start or kick off big time, the picture of the Wandering Jew was put up in an exhibition. If I can get that up properly. There we go. There he is.
Yes, yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah,
the Wandering Jew. That's the reproduction of the actual particular picture, and obviously the likes of Adolf Hitler, Goering, and all these lovely people got their hands on it, and it was actually shown in a Nazi exhibition, Der Ewige Jude, or Juda, Germany and Austria in 37 and 38. So that was considered. Yes, I remember now, because I actually watched a documentary about all of these. They were actually rounding up artworks that were classed as degenerate artworks. And basically from November the 8th till the 31st of January, I think it was, so it's 37 to 38, showing works that the Nazis considered to be degenerate art. A book containing images of these works was published under the title The Eternal Jew. It had been preceded by other such exhibitions in Mannheim, Karlsruhe, Dresden, Berlin, and Vienna. The works of art displayed at these exhibits were generally executed by avant-garde artists who had become recognized and esteemed in the 1920s, but the objective of the exhibitions was not to present the works as worthy of admiration, but to deride and condemn them. But it's still centered around that myth. And to be honest, that is probably the biggest one, I think, out of all of the top 10 Victorian monsters that they could possibly be into would be that.
Well, it's out of all of them, I'd say that and the werewolf.
I think werewolf was about number 3, wasn't it? Number 3 or 4. Because you have the Holder was number 2. The Holder, a shape-shifting monster found in forest. She takes on the form of human woman in order to lure men, sort of like a siren. If treated with respect, they'll look out for you, protecting you from mischievous creatures. If disrespected, they'll do whatever they can to hinder your journey through the forests of Europe. So you have to be nice to them.
There's a lot. Do you know what? There's lots of places, especially in Eastern Europe, that have very, very similar legends about spirits of the woods that they can either be good, or if you piss them off, they can really muck you up.
There's a movie on Netflix about Keeper of the Woods.
Yeah.
And they go through the woods, they go camping because one of their friends got killed, and he, at the end, basically, spoiler, but it's been out for long enough, he will look into your soul and see your regrets. And then he'll kill you if you've got, like, too many regrets.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like a bit of a side spin to Hansel and Gretel.
Have you got Spook and Oi tonight?
I haven't, but we've got an alternative one at 10 o'clock starting soon.
What's that?
We'll wrap up.
When we were away, we accidentally volunteered ourselves to do what we've now called a drunk live feed.
Yes.
So after this, we are going to be partaking in some alcohol-y drinkies and going to make a fool of ourselves.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Well, we shall finish now because it's after 10.
It's gone. Yeah.
And I shall make sure to tune into that, and I'll put it on the site for you. But yes, next week we shall do. If we
Wait, plug everything.
plug away before we do it. Before we go.
Yep.
Spooky
A Whistle from the Hills and Lady J, available on Amazon, or private message myself, and we can arrange a signed copy, just like Mark has. A signed copy of each one, and your little fridge magnet.
That's on the fridge now.
Mine fell off.
What about your fridge magnet?
Yeah, fridge magnet fell off and broke. So we got.
Oh,
I'll get my mum to bring a couple back when they come back next month. But yeah, it's they're on Amazon, quite reasonably cheap, I think, personally, on ebook and paperback. But if ordered through me online or PM me, and we'll sort out getting the signed copies out to people, which seem to be the biggest pull at the moment, is doing signed copies and forever sending them off at the moment. But yeah, I'm currently about to start writing the next one, and there's loads more to come.
Well, there you
Cool.
go, ladies and gentlemen. If you would like a signed copy of any of Wayne Spookanori series of books, then you can contact him directly or go on to Amazon. And
no, you only get it signed if you contact him.
if you contact him directly,
Yeah.
like it's signed. If you go
Yeah,
on
you
to
won't get
Amazon,
it signed. You won't get it signed from Amazon.
well, you could
It
do, but
won't
then
be-
you'd be like, who the bloody hell's this? Signed
Yeah,
Fred.
it won't be my signature. It'll be somebody else's.
So,
Uh,
yeah, next week, if you want, we shall talk about our own experiences and stuff.
Sounds like a good idea. We might
'Cause I
need to do 2 hours. Might need to do 2 hours for that, or we'll have to have 2 separate shows for
Knowing the amount of crap we come out with, I have no doubt.
it. Could be going on for weeks.
On that note, I shall disappear now because, to be quite frank, this pug that's right underneath my nostril, I'm going to shove a cork up his backside because I can't take it anymore.
Have you got to finish watching what?
Oh yeah, I'm watching The Boys at the moment. Very good show. Really enjoying that. So I'm going to go back and finish watching that. They Taking Down Superheroes. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime.
The one I've been watching lately, I think it's a very short series, but I watched today while I was finishing off my son's B-17 FX kit, called Blood Ride,
Oh, not seen that.
and it's quite interesting. And I got a few little ideas for a couple of Spookanori, a little bit of an offshot. But it's about these people that are on a bus, and each person has an individual story as to why they're on this bus.
I
It was,
I can see how that would
quite
tie
good.
in with your Spookanori stuff. I am going to go because, quite frankly, I'm going to vomit on the dog in a minute.
Wee-wee.
Oh, I think he's already done it.
Wee-wee.
Right. On that note, stay tuned. Go over and have a look at where's your alcohol tasting session that you're doing in a second.
It's going to be on my personal timeline.
on the Wayne 7 one. Right. If you go onto that, I will join you on there in a little bit. You can take this smelly dog with
Don't
you.
hand me that and hand
Oh.
me his head.
No, you can have the arse end. Right. And on that note, oh, good God, have a few for me, and I'll see you later.
See you later, mate.
And thank you very much for watching, everybody.
See you later, all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.